Hi, I'm Pastor Paul Walters, the Lutheran Church of the Master. I have with me Audra Melton, who is our Congregational Council President, mother of two teenage boys, and wife of Kevin. Welcome to our stellar, star-studded interview series, Audra.
Thank you.
How's your family situation these days?
Well, we're all getting lots of time to enjoy each other. Both the boys are home all day, every day. And Kevin has been home too. He works for an Italian machine builder. And as people are aware, Italy's gone through some pretty tough times, and his company is filing for a government bailout. So he was laid off in March. So he's home with us, expecting to go back to work perhaps in August. So it's been a little adjustment for him because he's not used to being around two teenage boys, whereas for me, that's been pretty much my whole career. So, so it's just white noise. Yeah.
Are you, what's the biggest difference you see in your family life together, sheltering in place and staying at home?
I think just, the time spent together, and probably the biggest difference is having the time to do more things together. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things we've really enjoyed is like playing more cards every single day. We play cards at breakfast, we play cards after dinner, and having time to do things with the boys because we're not having to take them from one place to another or, go here and there. We're just home. So that's the biggest difference. And so those are some of the positives, but there's also the mom.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, I have a 20-year-old and two teenagers, all boys, and we cannot keep the refrigerator stocked. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah.
They're constantly eating.
And there was a period where Kevin had to do some of the grocery shopping, which typically isn't how our division of labor works. And so he came back and he just was appalled at the cost of some of these items that we buy all the time.
Yep. Oh. Well, how happy are you that you're a retired middle school principal and educator. How happy are you that you're not trying to get online learning up and running in 24 hours?
I tell you, I feel for people in education right now. And I have to say, I'm pretty pleased that I'm not in it at the moment, because I can't imagine the amount of stress that district level and building level administrators are having to do to kind of put together the bones and the framework, and then the teachers doing the day-to-day of how do we convert this lesson that was meant to be delivered in person to kind of an online format. So it's a lot of work and a lot of stress. And, I'm seeing it from the parent end with my kids, working on things. And I think the teachers are doing a great job. So I really appreciate all that they're doing. But I have to say I'm glad that I'm just sitting from the parent end this time.
I can imagine. Now, there's George and Vinny. Somebody must be outside my house. I know a couple months ago you were very sick. You had a flu test that came back negative, and now looking back, the assumption is that you had COVID-19. Before the testing was widespread. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that was really early on. I started developing symptoms around March 8th, and initially I really thought it was the flu, but then it became worse than the flu. I've had the flu a couple times before, and when it came back negative, I was pretty confident that that was what I had, and it was scary because as a perfectly healthy adult, I have none of the underlying conditions, and it just really knocked me on my butt. And so while I was not worried about myself being able to handle it, I just had a better understanding and I guess healthy respect for what it can do to people who aren't in a healthy condition.
Right.
And then just trying to maintain a house with two boys that aren't necessarily cleaning and to keep it from spreading. So I did the best we could, but Sid ended up getting a fairly mild version, headaches and a significant cough, and then Luke ended up getting a pretty significant, very high fever. Took much longer for him to get over. And then we managed to keep the fort clean enough to where Kevin did not get it. So we were lucky there.
At least you're 1 out of 4. That's a good. Scary stuff. Now your mom, she lives in the area and is numbered into that people that would be considered in the vulnerable population. How are things going helping her?
Good. I think she was more worried for me when I was sick, but we're fortunate. I do have a brother that lives here in Troy as well, so he was able to go in and check on her. I also have a sister who was visiting from out of town at the time, and when all this hit, she decided to stay because she knew I wasn't doing well, and it was kind of going through my family, so she didn't want to leave my mom. So she's been sheltering in place with my mom, which has been a big help because my mom's not as lonely. She's got someone to run out and get groceries. So that's been a huge blessing, having her home with my mom during this time.
Absolutely. Well, with all of this, with being sick and getting well and watching your kids be sick, which is always hard to do, and everything else, where have you found joy in the midst of our pandemic experience?
I think just really in the kind of like the slower pace and the opportunity to enjoy my family in a way that we probably would not have been able to before, just because we didn't allow ourselves to have that time. And just watching my kids discover new things, like we live right by a forest. And so Luke, he likes to go traipsing through the forest and do his thing. And he came back with this bucket of mushrooms, and they were actually morel mushrooms. He didn't know what kind they were. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Luke, these are morel mushrooms. And I showed him on the internet. He was so excited. So the next morning he watched a TikTok video on how to make an omelet, and he sliced those up and made his omelet, and it was the best omelet ever.
That's
so just
awesome.
Little things like that where, he's out experiencing nature, learning something new. For me to be able to see that, I think is, just an example of things that we wouldn't experience if we weren't in this situation.
Sure. Do you have any final words for the good people at Lutheran Church of the Master?
Just miss seeing everybody. I think when going in and chit-chatting beforehand and after and seeing everybody, I kind of really miss that. And I think the kids kind of miss that routine too. So I think we're all looking forward to the day when we can get back to that in one form or another.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for your leadership. I'm so glad you are well and healing, and let's hope you've got those strong antibodies building up inside your body.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Audra.
Yeah.